So, what do you mean when you say your thesis is that people are the most undervalued asset in the world? Welcome back to the Idea Supply Chain, where we take a look at where ideas come from and what makes those ideas valuable. In today's video, I wanted to share that quote that I opened with. I was in a coaching session with a new client. One of the things I've been working on is abundant systems coaching with people to kind of teach them how to view the world in new ways, because frankly, I don't think a lot of the existing systems really serve people well enough. I think we really need to revisit the way we think about work, education, and frankly, life in a world with abundant information. And this was someone who has read through a lot of my stuff. He's invested because I am coaching him. He was excited. He was looking forward to being, uh, to having any help, right? He was in a tough spot, didn't have access to a lot of different resources. And so this was part of the process to really help him figure out a different way of viewing the world. But one of the first things he said was, "Hey, yeah, so I've been reading through your stuff, and you say that your thesis is uh, that people are the world's most undervalued asset, but like, what does that mean? Do you have a video on that, or like something I can read that really talks about more details on exactly what that even refers to?" And it hit me. No, I don't. I haven't actually talked in detail about why I believe that to be the case, and so I wanted to cover it in today's video. So, in a nutshell, the reason that I believe that people are the world's most undervalued asset has a lot to do with the way that they're used in work. So, if you take a typical company, they're going to decide that they have certain roles they need to fill. Maybe they need software engineers. So what they're going to do is they're actually going to go look and they're going to say, I need software engineers with about this much experience. I want them to know these languages. And, they try to do this filtering. So, okay, we've got, you know, all these millions of engineers available in this global pool. And then they're going, okay, we'll filter on this criteria and this criteria and this criteria. And then what they do is they decide to try to continue to pay that person as little as possible while getting as much out of them as possible. And they do that until the person burns out, realizes they're undervalued, and leaves, or kind of settles into doing the bare minimum possible. And the reason for this, it comes down to a lot of things. But first of all, efficiency is punished. When you work faster than other people and you're on salary, you don't get extra time to yourself. You get more work. I found this out firsthand. I saw what that did. In my last, large company job, I was working 3 roles because it was during the pandemic. I was able to work from home, so I was super efficient, and my work or my reward was simply more work. They couldn't give me a raise, but they were able to give me lots more work. And so that's one issue. So, first of all, they don't value efficiency, which means you're not going to get efficient people. The incentives don't align. And so, that's one standpoint. So, they don't let people become more efficient in their roles because there's no room to really grow. If you're lucky, you're on a linear growth path. Maybe you'll get 2 to 4% raise until you get a promotion. So you've got to work your way through this constant ladder of promotions in order to have any like meaningful change in salary. When you compare this to a creator or a company in terms of like valuation, what you see is that level of success becomes exponential. And in the digital world, growth is an exponential thing. It compounds. The more you learn, the better you can apply it. All of this yields exponential growth. And so, one of the things that people don't realize is that the world is changing constantly and everybody is learning all the time. One of the reasons software engineers are paid as well as they are is because everything is changing all the time. That's why I became a software engineer. I wanted to learn constantly. I wanted to kind of always have new things. And when you're in a career like that, it's set up to grow faster because there's so much value growing in kind of that tech ecosystem. But it's also like that elsewhere, except those roles aren't paid the same. And so, one of the things you really have to keep in mind is that humans grow in value constantly because they're constantly learning, they're constantly adapting. And now the question becomes, what are they learning about? What are they adapting to? And in most job situations, they are adapting to the politics of the job. They are learning how to game the system for their own benefit. They're learning how to move up through the ladder. They're not learning stuff that is actually beneficial. Um, or, on the other hand, they're learning how to make more money elsewhere because they're not being paid fairly for the work that they do. And we don't give people a lot of control over how much money they make. Their control is studying the market and figuring out how much they can get. Turns out the people who are better at talking about how valuable they are aren't actually as valuable as the people who spend that time learning how to just be better at what they're doing. So the incentives don't align. And not only that, we put people into too much of a box. We have this system where we want to have every single person be interchangeable. You don't want anybody bigger than the company. So you need to be able to replace people. And because they're working on, in a way that burns people out, makes them want to quit, all of this, they need to be able to be replaced. And so you can't have someone in a role that is perfectly suited to all of their strengths, not only now, but their desired strengths in the future, because you don't know how long you're going to have them. Because it's this adversarial relationship between the employee and the company. The company's trying to pay you as little as possible, and the employee is trying to maximize the amount of pay that they get. This is not a good way. There's a lot of value being destroyed in this collision. And so when I talk about my thesis being the fact that people are the world's most undervalued asset, what ends up happening is that all of the excess value that gets created as people actually get better at their jobs, as they get more efficient with the tools, is eaten up by the way tools are constantly evolving. So people are having to constantly learn new features. This is doubly true right now, right? Oh, great. Hey, a new AI model was released. And so now there's all these products being built on it. And so now you've got all these decisions like, do these added features actually make my business run more efficiently? Or is it simply somebody trying to get the, enterprise deal set up? And so they're going to a company that will write them a check, regardless of whether or not that's actually a measurable impact on anything. And so we're not good at actually measuring the value that's getting created. It's very, very muddled. And when I talk about abundant systems versus scarce systems, in scarce systems, complexity grows very, very quickly because everybody's constantly competing. You have to have all these checks and balances to make sure that competition is as fair as possible. Whereas an abundant system, you don't actually have to worry about that because there's plenty to go around. You give people the ability to grow and evolve at their desired pace, not the pace of the overall organization. And so, people are able to grow individually and they're not growing at the expense of some piece of the company. And so the difference here becomes, okay, I want to really think about ways that we can give people the opportunity to grow and evolve, not only what their skills currently are and the role they're currently in, but people have all sorts of outside interests as well. Like I write code, but I also have a YouTube channel. I enjoy doing podcast interviews. I enjoy writing. I'm working on my book, Engineering Generosity. And so there are all these different interests that people bring to the table, all these different skills that companies can't use because they're in this adversarial relationship. Meanwhile, if you actually give people the ability to develop the skills they want while paying them to actually develop the skills, you're going to end up with a lot more value created. And so, as I'm building out this experiment where I want to pay 10 people I've selected from all over the world, give them a steady salary for a year, and let them build out the type of career they want, I don't actually need to worry about what it is they can do now. What I'm more interested in is what can you learn to do when you can go from a place of security and stability and develop into something meaningful for you as an individual, something just challenging enough to really keep you growing at that optimal rate for you, to give you the ability to earn the income that you want to be able to earn. That's what I'm shooting for. And so when I talk about people being the world's most undervalued asset, I envision a world where we're not constantly fighting over the scraps that management gives to us. We're not constantly competing over the same hours or the same budgets. No, instead, you're given a budget and you're expected to grow it. Everybody has kind of essentially their own business within the business. You give people autonomy, you give people freedom, and you see what they can create. Because I guarantee you, when you actually put people in a place of high agency and the ability to create whatever life they want, you'll find out that they're going to grow faster, they're going to learn to be more efficient, and they're going to be way better employees than they would be in this environment that completely limits them. It doesn't trust them. It's a complete adversarial relationship. There's a lot of energy that's lost there. The world is changing rapidly. If you take a look at the creator economy, you're going to see this. You're going to see people searching for the freedom, the ability to grow. And you know what? We need to figure out a way to really make that possible for the early creators. Trust me, I've done this long enough. I've seen how slow the growth can be. It's a very hard thing to get started. And so the only people who really make it as far as they can are the survivors, the ones who figure out a way to last long enough, to get good enough, because there isn't this kind of support mechanism. And so I really do believe that everybody should be a creator in the sense that they should be sharing their knowledge, they should be growing their impact, they should have a way to measurably affect their future. Because if they don't, you're going to lose them as soon as they do. And so, if you want to talk abundant systems, I'm starting to work with nonprofits and businesses in a consulting role, and I'm starting to work in a, coaching role with people who really want an opportunity to create the future they want to see. I'm investing in people before they know they want to be an entrepreneur, before they want to be a creator. I see so much talent in people that just isn't used. It's completely undervalued. And so my belief is I can pay them a good wage without having to worry about exactly what it is they're delivering. And in fact, I can do it without worrying about anything that they're delivering. Instead, it's all about providing that security for them, because I know that whatever they're going to be interested in, whatever they're going to be doing, whatever they're going to be learning, they'll be able to provide me with a view of what the world currently looks like from that given viewpoint. And that will allow me to make very, very informed decisions as an entrepreneur, as a creator, to understand what I need to do next, to see the opportunities before anyone else does. And ultimately, that's where the true value comes in. And so when I'm talking about investing in people, that's why I'm giving people the ability to spend the time studying the current environment, to spend time planning out their next move, to give people stability and security from which to be creative, because that's ultimately where true value is in today's economy. And so there's the game plan. Calling my shot. I'm going to make it happen. And now it's a matter of finding people who want to help me make that happen and showing them the massive rewards that can result because of that. Because it's time for us to think differently about employment, about money, about pay. It can all be better, and it's time to start making it better. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm building out the abundance systems. I'm showing people. I'm writing it down. I'm building case studies. And eventually, I'm going to showcase how powerful the idea of engineering generosity can be. Because I believe in this with my whole heart, and I'm going to put it out into the world until other people see it too. The people around me do see it, and I'm going to work with them to really make sure that the rest of the world can see it too, because it's time to make the world better. We can just do better, and it's time to start. Anyway, that's it today. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.